What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today's reaction video is 10 worst towns in the United States. Something a little bit different, isn't it?
Yeah.
So this is obviously, I think this is World According to Briggs. I'm pretty sure.
I think it's going to say that, yeah.
Says according there. I know it's 2 seconds in. I must have pressed play accidentally at the start, but I think it is World According to Briggs. It can be a little bit brutal. He's opinionated. So this is his opinion. Let us know your opinions in the comments, because if your town comes up, it may be sentimental to you. You may think it's number one. Be interesting to see what this one's like, because I have done the Geography King, which we should check out, which kind of then focuses on like a bit of poverty and stuff like that, which, like in Britain, like all over the world, there is places with more poverty than others, so it could be perceived as the worst areas. So it'll be interesting to see this one, see where he takes it. Smash that like button if you enjoy this kind of content, smash that subscribe button, and where do you think should be the worst place?
I don't know, because I'm thinking towns. That could be like, there could be a couple of towns in each state that are bad, couldn't there?
Yeah. My only thing I can think of, I can't remember all the places in, I think there'll be some random ones which we've never heard of before, but I'm thinking that maybe a potential town in like Detroit or somewhere like that, which is really run down. The industry isn't really there anymore and stuff like that. It is building, I've heard recently, but the industry left a long time ago, potentially run down areas, but any clue?
Yeah, I've not got a clue.
Smash that button if you enjoyed, guys, smash the subscribe button. Let's check out the top 10 worst towns in the United States according to World According to Briggs. Let's go.
Town that doesn't suck? Me too. What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the World According to Briggs. Let's take a look at something we haven't done in a while. The worst towns in the United States. We did this video back in 2017, and I figure it's time for an update. Things have changed. Some towns have gotten better, some decent towns have gotten worse, and Alaska is slowly becoming the new Mississippi. Shockingly, Mississippi didn't make the list this year. If we would have done 25, they would have had the 23rd, 21st spot, and the 13th spot. Cities are slowly falling out of fashion, and more people are looking outside the cities and the suburbs to build their life and buy their homes and whatever they want to do. I mean, honestly, if you don't have to, why would you live in bumper-to-bumper traffic, worry about your safety both in and outside the house, or watch your Ring doorbell cam while somebody steals your Amazon? These are things nobody really needs in their life. Today we're looking at towns you shouldn't move to because they're horrible. It's that simple. And just to save the comments, let me explain what is considered a town and a city in the US according to the US Census and pretty much most people. A city's population has over 100,000 people. Large towns have a population between 50,000 and 99,000. Medium towns have a population between 25,000 and 49,000. Small towns have a population of 7,500 to 24,000. Village and small communities are less than 7,500 residents. Now, I know that goes against what most people think. Everyone assumes that a town maybe has 1,000 people. No, it doesn't matter if they call themselves a city. If they are below that population, technically they're a town. Got it? Get it? Good. Let's take a look. Number 10, Selma, Alabama. Selma, Alabama is a historical city, especially when you start looking at the civil rights movement. They're also losing
Like the Jersey flag.
Just little lions.
I'll point that out.
population because the town is horrible these days. In 2010, they had almost 22,000 residents, and in 2020, they had just under 18,000 residents.
Wow.
Selma, Alabama had been gaining population since its creation up until the 1970 census. 1960 was the last year they gained. 1970, they started losing. Now, in 2000, they actually gained 1%, but then they went back to losing population. I think it's also worth noting that California, North Carolina, Indiana, Iowa, Oregon, and Virginia all have Selmas, and they all suck. Here's an idea. Don't name anything else other than a goldfish, Selma. Selma, Alabama has a crime rate that's 61% higher than the national average. Their violent crime rate is 97% above the national average. They're not knocking it out of the park with wages, and their poverty is pretty high. Their per capita income is $15,288. The average for Alabama is $24,736. Comparison to the rest of the United States, which states are different, so you got to kind of compare a city to a state, not the national average, because cost of livings differ and all that other stuff. But the average income per capita in the United States is $29,829 currently. So in Selma, Alabama, they're averaging about half the national average.
Yeah,
Number 9, Americus, Georgia. Americus is a town in Georgia of around 15,000 residents, about an hour southeast of Columbus, Georgia, and about a generation away from being a great place to live. Affordable housing is great. Cheap housing isn't always great. That's a theory I have. When it's too cheap, you're safe to assume that there's a reason for that, and most of the time it's because the locals know the place and don't want to live there and have moved away. Americus is the poster child for that theory. Most of the homes for sale right now in Americus are under $100,000, with I'd say majority of them being under $90,000. Americus has some great history and a lot of crime. Their crime rate here is 168% above the national average, and their violent crime rate is 188% above the national average. Now their poverty is kind of...
I think that's going to be a massive thing in this, is just the crime rate. Which it is. It puts you off wanting to live somewhere if you're going to be scared.
Safe,
You don't feel safe. The house is maybe cheaper, but you don't feel safe.
Never.
You'd be bricking it. You would never leave the house. To be fair, I don't know. You'd have a lock room in your little room. But,
I literally locked the doors when I stayed in England at his dad's on my own for 3 hours.
But that is a massive thing, isn't it? And then obviously the pay. If you're not getting paid as much, potentially it's a bit off-putting or something like that. And then obviously that leads to poverty as well if it's crime.
You want to feel safe, don't you, where you live? You want to.
Definitely. So I think that's going to pay a massive pot. But 100 and odd % over. That's incredible, isn't it? That is mental, and that's only number 9. Oh my days.
Kind of a big thing here. Their income per capita is $15,837. Like we said earlier, the national average is about $29,829. So roughly this is pretty close to half. But when you compare it to Georgia, they look a little bit better because Georgia's average income per capita is $26,678. Now, one thing I will say about this place is it's starting to look like there's a little bit of revitalization going on, so I'm not sure how much longer Americus will be on a list like this. They might be turning it around, but we'll see. 10 years, 20 years, something like that.
Well, hopefully they do.
Number 8,
Rock on America.
Globe, Arizona. Globe, Arizona sits...
I was like, I don't know why you're fist bumping me because I didn't do anything.
Yeah, I was like, come on, I hope they do, because Americus, it's an awesome name,
Fist bump
Americus.
to America.
Yeah, Americus or America. Americus. I like Americus and America. Get that crime rate down. Get on me up. There you go, get my hand on screen.
It's about an hour and a half east of Phoenix, Arizona. And if you're a snowbird thinking about, maybe Arizona's the place for you, it might be. Globe isn't, but the rest of Arizona just might be. Globe isn't too far away from a small town called Miami. Don't let it fool you. It's nothing like the other Miami. Miami, Florida is filled with good-looking people on the beach. Miami, Arizona is filled with a lot of people that don't floss. But Globe is in the Arizona outback in the hills east of Phoenix. I saw a video where a guy was talking about the crime rate in the area, and the dude being interviewed said that the crime was so high because of the open borders, and people are coming across the border to commit crimes in Globe.
Oh, wow.
The interviewer guy says, "We're 3 hours away from the border," and the guy looks at him puzzled and goes, "Really? It seems closer." But the crime rate in Globe is 254% higher than the national average. Buckle up for this one. Their violent crime is 393% higher than the national average. Their income per capita is $21,528. The Arizona average is $26,686. So that's not the worst on this list. The good news is there's not much to do up there, so you don't have a lot of opportunity to spend what little money you make. Number 7, Bishopville, South Carolina. Bishopville sits about an hour east of Columbia, South Carolina, and about 30 minutes west of Darlington in case you're into NASCAR. Head out to Darlington and watch a race. If you do, don't forget your Confederate flag t-shirt. That's required outerwear in this part of South Carolina, along with a trucker cap.
All right, guys, we had a quick phone call, didn't we? But we're back. We've rounded it a little bit, and you ready to carry on?
Ready.
Bishopville is what we're talking about in South Carolina.
Darlington in case you're into NASCAR. Head out to Darlington and watch a race. If you do, don't forget your Confederate flag t-shirt. That's required outerwear in this part of South Carolina, along with a trucker cap that says something to the effect of, "Pull my finger." Bishopville is a nice little town that has a lot of potential. It's also got a lot of poverty and a lot of crime. Their crime rate is 201% higher than the national average. Their violent crime rate is 247% above the national average. When it comes to the income per capita, in Bishopville it sits at $13,422, which compared to South Carolina's average, which is $25,521. So Bishopville, they're less than half the national average of $29,829. That's pretty bad. The good news is it's dirt cheap to live here, and housing's very inexpensive. Number 6, Lake City, South Carolina. Yes, we're staying in South Carolina for another gem of the South. Lake City is a town of almost 6,400 residents. That's losing population. Now, they've only had 2 census in their history where they lost population, so that kind of tells me it hasn't always been in bad shape. Normally, when you see a town that has a sliding population for like 4 censuses in a row, is a census a word? Census. Anyway, moving on. When you see them slide like that decade after decade, you know the place has sucked for a very long time. Lake City really seems kind of new to the whole places to avoid type list. Right now, they have a crime rate that's 157% above the national average. Their violent crime rate is 345% above the national average. Their income per capita, it's not great. $17,910. Just like we said earlier, the South Carolina average is $25,521. So they're not doing great. The good news is they sit about an hour northwest of Myrtle Beach, so they've got something to do when they're really depressed about how much money they make.
But they can't spend anything.
Number 5, Barstow, California. Have you ever heard the phrase, when life gives you lemons, you make lemonade? Well, if you have to move to Barstow, it's more like when life gives you lemons in Barstow, they're probably toxic, so you should drop them and move someplace else. Barstow's been a wart on the backside of California since it was founded, and I'm sure when the paperwork came through to turn this place into a town or whatever, it came across some state official's desk. The first words out of his mouth or her mouth was, why? Barstow sits about 2 hours east of Los Angeles and about 2 hours west of Las Vegas, and it's usually the place you stop and pee when you're driving to Las Vegas. Normally when you do that, you go to one of the 2 Del Tacos they got there at McDonald's. Don't try and pee in Denny's without being a customer. They got a lock on the door, at least they used to. Barstow does have a Wiener Schnitzel, so it's not all bad. Barstow's really not a good place to move to, really. It's kind of like Denny's. You never plan on going to Denny's, you just end up there when you're inebriated. Barstow's the same way. Barstow also has a crime rate that's 122% higher than the national average. Their violent crime rate is 285% higher than the national average. The income per capita here, now keep in mind this is California, things are more expensive, so this money really sucks. Their average income per capita is $16,897. That's not good. California's average is $31,458. They're almost half of California's average. If you ever look at pictures of someone's backyard and Barstow, it's often confused with the surface of Mars, so keep that in mind. Number 4, Bastrop, Louisiana.
Again,
Bastrop sits...
If you do live in these areas, let us know in the comments what you think of it, because it may be different living there.
Yeah.
It may be your cup of tea. You may not bother about the crime rate. You may be one of the criminals. Hopefully you're not.
But you may know how to keep yourself out of trouble. So, you know.
You may think, potentially, maybe not in that case because it is in California, so it might still be on the expensive side, but in some of the others, you may think it's cheaper housing, I'm happy here, I got my family here, got everything I need here.
If you grew up there, you don't really know any different.
Yeah, if anyone is from any of these places, let us know in the comments, because this is just him looking in from an outside, pictures, and just stats, I'm guessing. So let us know in the comments.
It's about 2 hours east of Shreveport, in between Despair and Regret. This is a great place to be from, as in past tense. Nobody should live here unless they enjoy fishing and crime scene photography. This isn't a great place to live, but it does have a Popeye, so you know it's legit. The population of Bastrop is about 10,000 residents, which is down from 12,000 in the last census. So they don't have a lot of people, but they do have a lot of crime and poverty. The crime rate here is 290% above the national average. Their violent crime rate is 386% above the national average. When it comes to their income per capita, they're making a whopping $12,926 a year on average. Louisiana average is $25,515. The poverty level here is actually 178% higher than the national average. That's not good. Number 3, Salem, New Jersey. Look at that. New Jersey made the list. It didn't include anything about the Sopranos, toxic waste dumps, or high taxes. Those are 3 things New Jersey is known for. Salem is about 30 minutes south of Wilmington, Delaware, across the Delaware River, and about an hour and 20 minutes northwest of Atlantic City. It's also only 35 minutes away from the Palace of Depression. Yeah, it's a real place. Here it is. Look, Salem has been losing population since the 1950 census, when they peaked at 9,000. You know things aren't great when you realize you peaked before Elvis started making music. Yeah, Salem's seen better days. Now, one thing I do like is they have a lot of really cool old brick buildings. Most have bars on the windows, but that should be expected when you see the crime rate. The crime rate here is 132% higher than the national average. Their violent crime rate is 431% above the national average. Now, here's where it gets really ugly. The income per capita here is $18,626. That's the average. The New Jersey average is $37,538. Yeah, that's brutal. And New Jersey is above the national average, and they kind of have to be because New Jersey is expensive and they have extremely high taxes. I love New Jersey's thing. It's like, we kind of suck, but we're going to charge you like we don't. I've said that before, and it's very true about New Jersey. Number 2, Benton Harbor, Michigan. Yeah. I know a lot of you are thinking that Michigan has gone over their quota for places that suck. I mean, you have a lot of places in Michigan that truly do suck. Detroit, Flint, and now Benton Harbor. What's really bad about Benton Harbor, it's really close to some really nice places. Benton Harbor just is horrible. Benton Harbor sits on Lake Michigan, about an hour and 45 minutes away from Chicago, which is about 98 miles, probably 70 if you're a good swimmer. It also sits about 45 minutes north of South Bend, Indiana. You can go down there and watch the Fighting Irish play. Benton Harbor is one of those places in Michigan, and really it's happened in a lot of these Rust Belt states where they have so many abandoned homes that they've actually just mowed them down. Saves people from vandalizing them, and in Detroit's case, a lot of people were just setting them on fire and homeless were moving into them. So a lot of these towns have just chosen to mow them down. They bulldoze these homes that have been abandoned over the years. Benton Harbor has a lot of those. They even got a bunch still that are just boarded up, and they haven't got around to mowing them down yet. It's really sad.
Yeah, that is sad, isn't it? You go through an old town somewhere and just people, because the population's dip, there's so many boarded up. It's not what you want to see, is it?
No, cause it's also like people lived there once. That was somebody's home.
Yeah, it's a bit depressing looking at that, isn't it? I imagine the vibe of the area is pretty depressing because of that.
There's no people. Yeah.
Yeah, there's no people and everything's boarded up.
I kind of, I know I make fun of these places and stuff like that, but the history and the loss of manufacturing jobs in this part of the country is just really depressing. And it's something that, I don't know what you could do. I'm not an economist or anything like that, but it just seems like there should be serious efforts to bring back our auto industry at whatever they can do. It just seems very important to this country. I mean, it's still here to a degree, just not like it once was. Benton Harbor has a crime rate that's 171% higher than the national average. And buckle up for this one. Their violent crime rate is 723% above the national average. That is freaking brutal. Their income per capita is $10,980. How do you survive on that? I don't mean to laugh, but Michigan's average is $27,540.
Yeah, it literally is.
It's like $900 a month.
Yeah, and that's dollars, not even pounds.
So it's like £700.
Yeah, it's mental, isn't it? That is mental.
$9. Wow, that's just rough.
Come on then, hit us.
All right, before we get to number 1, don't forget we have another channel called On This Day. There's a link down below. Also, as far as this channel goes, please make sure you guys give it a thumbs up. That helps support the channel, and I'd really appreciate it.
Like
all right,
here.
On to number 1.
And his link is all in the description as well on the original video tab. But smash that like button here, smash the subscribe button here. But his links to the videos are always in the description.
And number 1, Nome, Alaska. There's an old joke that says, I told him to kiss me where the sun doesn't shine, so he drove me to Nome, Alaska. You can't drive to Nome, Alaska. It's next to impossible. This one is so far up there, it's one of those towns where night lasts like 6 months. Yeah, it's that high up there in Alaska. Nome sits on the Bering Sea. It's about an hour-and-a-half flight from Anchorage. You can't drive anywhere from here. I mean, there is a road that goes up to Teller, Alaska, but why would you want to drive there? There's nothing there. I can't imagine why anyone would want to live in Nome, Alaska. I mean, do you like just snow all the time? And maybe you're into dog sled racing or something. The Iditarod ends here. When you see the stats on here, you really start to think, why would someone live here? Now, this is the absolute worst I've ever seen for a violent crime rate. So here we go. Their overall crime rate is 158% above the national average. Their violent crime rate is 984% above the national average.
Do you think that's just because they're in such a secluded area they think they can get away with it? Do you know what I mean? Because they're so far away from each other, they think, I can get away with it, but that's mental, isn't it? Like, so high.
That's crazy.
What are they playing, the Hunger Games here? This is alarming. Since the 1920 census, they've only had one census where they lost population. That was in 1980 when they went from 2,357 to 2,301. Yeah, but they've gained population ever since. Now, I get it. If you're an Inuit person and this is your culture or your people's land, I get why you'd live there, why you'd want to live there. But why anyone else would, it's beyond me. They got to be paying pretty good. But from what I can see, they aren't. Unless they don't add up the people working in town for some kind of, I don't know what they do there, oil, minerals, or whatever. But their income per capita here is $29,558. That's pretty good if you're living in Mississippi, not if you're living in Alaska, where everything's very expensive.
Oh, no,
the average income per capita for Alaska is $34,191. That's, yes, above the national average, but it is expensive to live in Alaska, especially this far up.
I guess that makes sense with like imports and stuff like that, doesn't it? Did you enjoy that?
It was good, yeah, interesting.
Something different, a little bit sad.
A little bit sad.
Because unfortunately people live in that situations, and if it's any of you legends, we hope you're okay. And it can be a little bit sad, can't it? But it was very interesting at least.
It was, yeah.
Some brutal stats on there in some other places. Anything else to add?
Nope.
Smash that like button, guys. Smash subscribe and watch the video.
Have a fantastic day.
Yeah, make sure you have a great day. I think stuff like this just puts it in perspective. It could always be worse, I guess, unfortunately. So make sure you enjoy every minute and have a fantastic day. And we'll see you legends in the next one. Peace.